Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all this morning. My name is Sharisa. I go by she and her pronouns. I'm wearing blue today except for my tan Iditarod hat in honor of the race that's ongoing. Whether you are with us on site or on Zoom, and whether it's your first time here or one of many, we are glad you're here with us today. We hope you can stay for coffee or tea and conversation after the service. The chalice lighter in the sanctuary is Steve W. Our chalice lighting words are by Reverend Bob Janice Dillon. Here within these walls, here in this community of love and justice, we pause in our busy lives to consider what is worthy of our deepest yearnings. In the time we're given here, may we pay attention to wonder of each moment. May we grieve what is lost, and may we be grateful for our life on this beautiful earth. And may we prepare ourselves for the work love calls us to do. Just as we are, may we be the beloved community.
I know I don't describe myself very often. I'm about 5'8". Today I'm wearing a brick red and tan maxi dress, and I have a mop of curly silver hair. All right, so today I'm going to read a book that I loved so much I bought my own copy. It explores how the simple act of noticing can awaken curiosity, wonder, and possibility. It invites us to pay attention to the little things around us and explains how that also helps us see what matters most. The book is titled Noticing by Kobi Yamada and has lovely illustrations by Elise Hurst. And if I accidentally turn too many pages, holler at me, because you'll be able to tell up on the screen. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? It seemed as if someone was talking to me. It's okay, I guess, I replied. Just okay? A woman sitting nearby responded. Why, we have the birds and the trees, the sky, the questions, the what ifs, and the why nots. I'd say this is indeed an exceptional day to be alive, don't you think? If you say so, I shrugged. It seemed like an ordinary day to me. Are you a painter? I asked. I like to think of myself as more of a noticer, really, she answered. I just try to make things from what I see. It's my way of appreciating and honoring them. As I looked at her canvas, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. How could someone create something so amazing? I wondered. She was definitely a painter. She looked over to me and asked, when you look up, what do you see? Clouds? You see clouds? That's all? Just clouds? The painter asked, astonished. I think so, I said, uncertain as I scanned the sky. Why? What do you see? Oh, so much. she said excitedly. It's like the whole sky is tempting me to be amazed. I see wild horses running free and upside-down castles. I see whales flying like songbirds and a dragon breathing fire. But it's not only that. I'm filled with butterflies of excitement. It feels like an adventure is unfolding, and I don't want to miss any of it. I stared up, wanting to see what she saw. The more you pause and allow for the extraordinary, the painter explained, the more you find it. And often what we see depends on what we look for. Take this mountain, for instance. She gestured to the horizon. A climber might see a great challenge. A scientist might see the movement of an ancient glacier. And someone else might notice the cool breeze traveling from its snowy peaks. Though we all may look at the same thing, we don't always see it in the same way. That is true for mountains, but also for people. When we look at others, we may see their faces or their clothes, she continued, but we are only seeing a tiny piece of who they really are. We often don't notice the important things like their capacity for love, what they hope for, what they dream of, or who they can become. We can often miss the most beautiful parts of them. I wondered what I wasn't noticing. I wondered what I was missing. What do you see in you? Asked the painter. I looked down at my hands, my clothes, my shoes that were a size too big so I could grow into them. Just a kid like any other kid, I suppose. But you are not like anyone else. In fact, there isn't another person exactly like you anywhere, the painter encouraged. And the amazing thing is, there never has been, and there never will be again. I'm not sure there's anything at all that special about me, I said. Oh, but everything is special about you. There really isn't a single thing about you that isn't extraordinary, she shared enthusiastically. You are the rare and unique combination of what was and the bright possibility of what can be. And you know what? So is everybody else. Everyone shines and needs to be seen. Everyone wants to know that they matter, that there is a place for them and that they are needed. Sure, some may hide their brilliance, but the light's in there, always flickering, and it's a beautiful thing when we can reflect it back to them. I always looked forward to my visits with the painter. I had to admit, as much as I couldn't wait to see her, I also couldn't wait to see what she saw. On one occasion, I went to go find her, and she was sitting peacefully with her eyes shut. "What are you doing?" I asked shyly, not wanting to interrupt her. "Hello, you," she smiled and waved me over. "Some days I find that I can notice even more when I close my eyes," she explained. The gentle rustling of my hair, the ideas dancing in my head, the sunshine on my face, and the wonder of being alive. She invited me to close my eyes. What does home look like to you? What does kindness feel like? The painter asked. What does it feel like to have a friend? What does it look like to be one? One of the most important ways we see is with our imagination. So many significant things cannot be seen with your eyes, but they are very real, and it is vital that you look for and believe in them. I was filled with a feeling of calm and appreciation. It was moving and wonderful. I sat there with my eyes closed, picturing the people and the places and things that meant so much to me in my life. One of the best things you can be is interested, the painter shared. When you are interested, you are curious, and when you are curious, you discover things, amazing things about yourself and about the world. The miraculous is everywhere and in everything, waiting for us to notice it, waiting for us to appreciate it, waiting for us to love it. It's been years since that day when I first met the painter. I miss her. I wish she were still here so I could tell her what she has meant to me and how she helped me to look at everything differently. But mostly, what I wish I could say is, thank you for seeing me. It's time for each of you to light your little chalices if you haven't already. And as you take them with you downstairs, remember that they represent the light and love of everyone here going with you. We will sing On Your Way to You now as you head downstairs. The prelude is Morning Has Come by Jason Shelton and performed by Eva.
My name is Skylar. I am a 6'3" large bearded man wearing a shirt that's missing a button, so that's pretty cool. Didn't know that until I sat down and felt breeze, so that's fun. I wanted to go ahead and read our words of invitation. Our words of invitation are A Meditation on Attention by Nancy Reed McKee. Sit and rest for a minute. Take several deep breaths in and out again, calling your attention to this space. Attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to where you are right now. And I mean where you are. Where you are and where you are. You are here in this community, in this sanctuary, in this state, in this country, on this beautiful blue planet, whirling through the tailspin of a galaxy. You are unique. You are made of cells and hormones. You are a mix of thoughts, emotions, values, You are the inheritors of your parents' and ancestors' dreaming. You are part of the human inhabitants on this earth. You are. You exist. You are breathing. You are still. You are connected. You are present. You have a holy spark inside you. You are here now. You are paying attention. Blessed be. Our hymn of the month for March is "The Sun at High Noon." This month's theme for focus and reflection is paying attention. We can accept the invitation of this hymn and notice, pay attention to the signs of spring, the subtle as well as the burgeoning. The Sun at High Noon is number 14 in the gray hymnal, and the words will be on the screens. Please do lift your voice to sing. You are all welcome to stand or remain seated as we sing together.
It would seem that the Pastoral Care Committee doesn't know who's reading Joys and Concerns today. Oh, it's Jennifer. Good. Because it seemed completely feasible to me that that was my fault. And so. Jennifer, come on up.
I was paying attention to the wrong thing, apparently. Goodness sakes. All right, it couldn't come that soon that I'm back up here. Jeez. Yeah. Now I got to remember how to get back to the chat on here, which is always a challenge. Oh my goodness. Bear with me. There it is. All right. I think we're ready to roll. All right, I already introduced myself, so we will pass that by. But I am a member of the Pastoral Care Circle. And as a community, we share joys and concerns to keep connected. Slips of paper are available at the greeters table for those in the sanctuary to use for their joys and concerns. During the week, you may send your joys and concerns by email to pastoralcare@springfielduu.org or by leaving a voicemail on the church phone, 417-883-3922. If you're on Zoom, please use the chat box now for sharing your joys and concerns. All of these joys and concerns will be included in the members' email on Tuesday. We honor each joy or concern with a lighted candle, a symbol of the love we as a community offer for each of these joys and concerns. And this morning, Steve will be lighting the candles for us. Thank you, Steve. And now, as we begin this time of sharing, know that as though we are in multiple physical spaces, we are together in beloved community. To begin, we hold in love all of us, those present and those absent, and we light a candle for our church community. That's the toughest one. It's downhill from there. Becca Gray shares that on Thursday, her Aunt Peggy died after a 2-year debilitating illness. And also on Thursday, her dad started his chemo treatment. Life feels very heavy. We light a candle of sorrow, concern, and support for Becca and her family. This is a concern from Emily Jamrock. She says, I may have gained 20 pounds at the Pie in the Sky event on Saturday. Very quickly turns it to a joy. Our church accomplished a ton when we worked. We accomplish a ton when we work together. Thanks to the entertainers, cooks, bakers, audio tech engineers, setup crew, and all the cleanup crew. Food donations were excellent. We raised over $500 towards Raise the Roof campaign. Thank you. Light a candle of joy. We have a concern from the family of Rita. Their newborn great-grandson died this morning. We light a candle of care and love for that whole family. Rebecca Holt shares a joy. Friday, my cochlear implant was activated. I am hearing so much better and will continue to improve over the next 6 to 8 months. We light a candle of joy for Rebecca. I like the way these were stacked, joy, concern, joy, concern. It makes it a little easier. We have a concern from the family of Stephanie. Their 20-year-old daughter died from a brain tumor yesterday. We light a candle of care for that whole family. We have a joy from Jesse that their house is under contract. They just need to finish moving out. We light a candle of joy. And let me see if we have anything here online. There are no listings that I can find there. So, we honor the complex and heartbreaking struggles of our world, and we light a candle for all who are impacted. In closing, for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken in our hearts, we light a candle. May we hold each of these joys and concerns in our hearts and our minds. May our community of love ease sorrow and boost celebration. Let us now join together in 1 minute of shared silence, followed by Spirit of Life.
Good morning. My name is Jessie. I am a 5'3" feminine presenting person. I go by they, them pronouns. And this week in UU history, Margaret Barr was born in Menson in Warfield Dale, Yorkshire, England, on March 19th, 1899. She devoted her life to working with Unitarians in Khasi Hills in the state of Meghalaya in northeast India. Her work stressed education so that poor people could have their own leaders, school teachers, midwives, and healthcare workers. In the 1930s, she opened her first school in Shillong. Barr's main support came from the English, but the Canadian Unitarians and the Unitarian Universalists Association offered help as well. In 1972, the Unitarian British General Assembly made her an honorary member. In 1977, the Kong, or Sister, Barr Memorial Hospital opened in Kairang. Khasi Unitarians remember Margaret Barr with affection. She was greatly inspired by the Mohandas Gandhi, whom she met many times. She died in August of 1973 at the age of 74. Today's offering is Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in a few large congregations, numerous mid-sized congregations, and many, many small congregations. No matter its size, each congregation depends on each of its members. Each one of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. Individually and together, we are Unitarian Universalists, building a world full of peace and justice, love and joy. If electronic giving is your preferred method, or if you are on Zoom, virtual giving options are available via our website, springfielduu.org. The offertory today is We Are by Isaiah M. Barnwell, performed by the choir.
Good morning. Feels weird to say it. I'm Reverend Dr. Michelle Scott Huffman. No, don't do it. Stop. I'm the minister here. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a sort of average height woman with pale skin and short, spiky, salt and pepper hair, wearing gray and white, and just glad to be here with you today. So we've been talking about paying attention this month, and last week we talked about paying attention with intention. We talked about the attention economy and how the systems that we live inside are engineered to extract our focus and to sell it back to us as outrage and distraction and a sense that we always need something that we don't have. We talked about Thich Nhat Hanh and his teaching about the cup, that when life bumps into us, something is going to spill, so we can be intentional about what's in the cup and what spills out. And I invited you into an exercise of savoring. Some folks have told me already what they've been savoring this week, but hopefully all of you have been savoring something, whether it's circles or shadows, trees, rust, reflections, whatever called to you. I myself spent some time savoring trees. It's really fun as the trees are budding right now to look at all the kind of funny shaped little fuzzy things that are coming out on all the different trees in my yard and in all the places where I've been this week. But it was a spider web that went from a tree to my front porch that I walked through in a hurry that slowed me down and reminded me of another experience of savoring in my life. Some of you have heard the story, and some of you who haven't been around as long have not, so I'll tell it anyway. When my kids were little, they were both homeschooled, and we lived in a place that was sort of woodsy around it, and we would get very large spiders in and around our house. And we had come home several nights in a row and walked up to the front door only to find that we couldn't get in the front door because this giant spider web was between us and where we needed to be. And so one of us went around back and opened the door and got everyone in, and that was fine. But something happened the next day when we noticed that the spider web was gone. And then that night we had gone somewhere and we came home and the spider web was there. And then the next morning it was gone. And then that next night it was there. And the kids started asking questions, as kids do, about where the spider web went. And I said, well, let's get up early in the morning and find out. And so we got up the next morning earlier than we normally would, and we went to the front door and we opened it, and the spider web was there. And the spider was in the middle of it, and her legs were all curled up, and it was clear that she was just sleeping. And so we sort of made a little noise, banged on the door, and she seemed to startle awake, and all of her legs shot right out. And she ran to the top of the web, and with one leg she swiped, and the whole web became one line, and she just scurried across it onto the roof. I can't even describe what happened to me in that moment, right? And to my kids. And so after the spider was out of sight for the day, we walked inside our house different than we had walked out, because of the time that we had just spent paying attention to this incredible process. Beyond the beauty of the spider and the intricate work that she had done, which would have been enough, was the reality that she broke something open in us. She did something that we didn't have a category for. We didn't have that in our mental file on spiders, the one that says sticky web, 8 legs, eats flies, sometimes can be scary, done. All we need to know. And in that gap between what we expected and what was actually there, we found something deep and profound. We were stopped in our tracks. We were confounded. We didn't know what to do with what we were seeing. In the end, it would become the moment that we returned to over and over again when we would see a spider running across the living room floor, and it would cause us to go get the spider jar and to catch it and to take it outside and to relocate it instead of just step on it like some people might do. That's what I want to talk about today. What happens when we choose to pay attention? What opens up when we actually stay in that place of attention? The writer Maria Popova shares a beautiful reflection on a memoir by Chloe Dalton called Raising Hare, H-A-R-E. The book itself is a story of a workaholic woman who stumbled upon an abandoned baby hare in the English countryside in the pandemic time and ended up raising it through the winter. In her reflection on that book, Maria Popova writes, "Narrow the aperture of your attention enough to take in any one thing fully, and it becomes a portal to everything. Anneal that attention enough so that you see whatever and whoever is before you free from expectation, unfiltered through your fantasies or needs, and it becomes love. Come to see anyone or anything this clearly, a falcon, a mountain, a patch of moss, and you will find yourself loving the world more deeply." There's a word in that quote that captured my attention and wouldn't let go, and that word is anneal. Anneal that attention, she wrote. Okay, this is where my students in my campus ministry would say I'm about to drop a piece of Michelle Scott Huffman lore. Some decades that feel like lifetimes ago, I owned a jewelry store, and by some accident of necessity, I became a jeweler. And so by trade, I am a goldsmith. And I know something about annealing metal. Annealing gold is a critical process in jewelry making and metallurgy. It restores the metal's ductility after it has become work hardened. I want you to hold on to that phrase, work hardened, which means brittle and stiff. From hammering and rolling and drawing, work-hardened metal runs significant risk of cracking and breaking, which is not something you want for your customer's wedding ring. I will also say, you don't ever want to see your jewelry in the process of being repaired. So don't ever show up before it's supposed to be ready and ask to see it in the process. When you work with gold, its molecular structure becomes distorted and compressed, and annealing is the way you return it to its malleability. The way that you do that is by heating it almost to its melting point and holding it there. So the melting point of 14 karat gold is somewhere between 1600 and 1700 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you want to anneal 14 karat gold, you take your torch. This is why I liked being a jeweler, because I'm a little bit of a pyromaniac. You take your torch and you heat up that gold to about 11 to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets to a little bit of a bright reddish brownish color, and you just want to dwell there. So if you're working on a ring, you'll take your torch and you'll just run it in circles so that it maintains that heat but doesn't keep getting hotter and hotter. Because you do run the risk of all of it just melting into a big blob, which is really unfortunate. And so this idea of annealing metal, Maria Popova has brought into the conversation about annealing ourselves and our attention, which gets work-hardened, brittle, running the risk of cracking and breaking if we don't take the time to anneal it once in a while. I think that Popova has chosen this word with precision because she's describing exactly what has to happen to us before we can truly see a thing that we have either stopped seeing or never seen before. Our attention, we talked last week a little bit, is sort of programmed by default to see what we expect to see. When we look at a stranger and we see type, we stereotype them, we decide who they are, a little too irritable, a little too loud, a little bit on the wrong side of the issues that we care about. We look even at someone that we love and we see the story that we've built about them. The grievances and the gratitude all mixed up together, the narrative that we carry around, but it doesn't make space for whatever that person is experiencing that's outside of our expectation. And that brittleness is not a personal failing, it's the efficiency that our brain needs to survive. It can't process everything, so it creates shortcuts, it categorizes. But annealing our attention means stopping that process. And maybe sitting in the heat or the warmth of something that might even be uncomfortable to give it our attention anew. Which brings me back to the spider. And to a philosopher named Laura Candiotto, who writes about what she calls epistemic wonder. The piece that I read from her this week was called Epistemic Emotions, the Case of Wonder. And she's interested in wonder as something more than this feeling of pleasurable delight, but as something that's even disruptive. She argues that the deepest kind of wonder is aporia-based. Aporia is an old Greek word that means roughly a state of being stuck. When you encounter a contradiction that you don't know how to resolve. When the thing in front of you refuses to fit into your existing categories. She writes that it is a conflict within a person, something that unsettles you. And her claim is that this is precisely when real wonder, epistemic wonder, she calls it, catches fire. Not in those smooth moments of appreciation, but in the gap, the rupture, this is not what I expected, and I don't know what to do with this information. That's what happened at our front door with the spider and her web. She aporiated us. She broke open our categories. She made my kids see spiders as something that we are in awe of and that they make a jar for and learn how to catch and take a little piece of cardboard and slide it under the jar and to go outside very carefully to a place that they think the spider might even like and to let it go gently so that it can find its new home. Candiotto is honest about what this kind of wonder feels like because it's not always pleasurable. It can be both pleasurable and painful under different situations. There's this pull of wanting to know more, but there's also the discomfort of not knowing or admitting our unknowing. The unease of having our assumptions exposed. The vertigo of standing at the edge of something larger than our current understanding. And just so we know that wonder is not always something warm and welcoming, I remind us that sometimes it is a portal to something a little frightening. Sometimes when you truly open up and pay attention to what a person that you love is experiencing or expressing, and it doesn't fit into the categories that you already had in your mind, that can be hard and uncomfortable. Sometimes, when you open yourself up to a conversation with someone that you wouldn't have categorized as someone that you love, someone who perhaps you see as an other or an adversary, and they become human to you, You don't know what to do with that, and you have to figure it out. So the thing that Maria Popova was writing about was this memoir called Raising Hair. And in this memoir, this woman who is very much a workaholic, she's a political consultant. So as you can imagine, she spends all of her time in very sort of high energy, active spaces where there's not a lot of space for contemplation. And she finds herself in sort of a sabbatical at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And she's walking through the woods, and she finds a leveret, which is a young hare in its first year. And she's worried that the mother is gone, and there are predators around, and she's afraid that the predators are going to get the leveret. So she ends up taking it home and asking some wildlife folks what to do with it, and they tell her, well, you can't take it back out because the mother's not going to accept it, and it's probably not going to make it. But she's committed to caring for this hare. And so she spends this, some of us were spending all of our time with sourdough bread in the pandemic. Some of us were getting a pandemic puppy. Whatever it was that you did, you spent a lot of time doing it. And she spent a lot of time raising this hare. And she learns these things that she didn't know before, like that the hairs on a hare's face are actually organs that are packed with nerve endings that decode the environment continuously. She learns that the hare's coloring is not decorative, but that it's a strategy, a form of optical illusion designed to confuse predators. She learns that hares can carry 2 litters at the same time at different stages of development. They can be pregnant already with a litter and then get pregnant with another litter. It's called superfetation. She learned about that. Who knew? All of these discoveries shook the world that she thought she knew and opened up. This is the thing about brain science. When we open ourselves up to a little bit of science that we didn't know about a thing that we had categorized in a particular way, our brain opens itself up to appreciative knowledge about other things that we may have categorized in particular ways. And so she started to see the world anew. This is the gift of annealed attention. The humility that comes with realizing that we might not have seen something fully before. So that morning when my kids and I stood early at our door waiting to see what happened to the spider web, we weren't looking for a spiritual experience. We were just looking to learn something like a homeschool family does. But we were all changed by it. And it changed the way we looked at every other creature that came into our path after that. We basically have a no-kill household, but there's some things that, ants, I'm sorry. But none of us kill anything without thinking really deeply about it because of that experience. And the spider didn't care that we were watching. She had work to do, and she wasn't changed at all by our presence, or that we know of. Maybe she was. But we came back through that portal that morning, larger than we left. There's one more thing that the philosopher Candiotto says that I want to bring into this room, and it's the idea that wonder is only for beginners. We tend to think of it that way, that wonder is what you feel before you know things, right? And that expertise means you graduate out of wonder. The world gets explained, all of our categories get filled in, and wonder recedes. But she argues the opposite. She writes that the wisest, most expert knowers are the ones who keep returning to wonder, who refuse to let their expertise close off the question. Every answer, she says, generates new questions. In the Buddhist tradition, this is called the beginner's mind. Every aporia resolved opens into 3 more. I think this is also the description of the mature spiritual life. That every question opens into new questions. We are all in various areas of our lives experts. We've decided exactly what a spider is and how it operates. We've decided what the stranger is, what they're about, what they think and believe, and how they're going to act. We've decided what the person sitting next to us over breakfast is. We've filed them and labeled them and moved on to more pressing things. But attention annealed is the practice of becoming a beginner again, of getting out of our work-hardened perspective and inviting something more malleable. So here's my invitation to you this week. Take something you already know, something you've filed and labeled, you know it forward and backward, everything there is to know about it, so that you have stopped seeing it and see it again. Stay with it just long enough to let your categories soften a little and to see something new. And if something in you gets confused, if the thing turns out to be stranger and more alive than you expected, don't rush to resolve it. Sit in that gap for a moment. Let yourself be aporiated. And follow your attention past the first thing you see and find out what's on the other side. Because I think what you will find is that our attention, our deep, annealed attention to anything, is a portal to everything. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. The interlude is L'Avventuriero by E. Morricone, performed by Eva. I don't speak Italian, by the way. Reverend Michelle Collins writes, as you leave this space made sacred by our presence, may you practice the art of truly noticing yourself with honesty, others with compassion, the world with clear eyes. Remember that attention is love made deliberate. So go with courage to look closely, to stay present, to let what you witness reshape you as well as the world. Our closing hymn this morning is All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. The words are attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, who founded the Franciscan Order of Friars in the year 1210. The tune was adapted and harmonized by a hymnodist and composer, Ralph Vaughan Williams. All Creatures of the Earth and Skies, number 203 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screens, and we'll be singing verses 1, 2, and 3. You're welcome to stand or remain seated. Chalice lighter comes up to extinguish the chalice, I'll remind you that coffee and snacks are in the kitchen. Please don't leave without talking to someone. And maybe stand with your attention wide open as you meet that person today. As we extinguish our personal and communal chalices, let's say together our unison sending words. Our service here is ending. Our service to the world begins anew. Go in peace, friends.